Hello and welcome to another Coffee with Colm. Thanks very much for tuning in. The objective behind this series of Coffees with Colm is whereby I take elements of my business journey as chronicled in my book, Feeding Johnny How to Build a Business Despite the Roadblocks, and share those lessons on a weekly basis over a cup of coffee for about 5 minutes or so, in the hopes that by me sharing elements of my business journey that I can afford you a shortcut where back in the day I had none. Okay, the concept I want to talk about today is the concept of the relay race. It's where, in my opinion, all of life is one long, perpetual, never-ending relay race from the dawn of time until now and on into the future. And really all that's happened is we as a species have evolved because we have accepted the baton from the previous generation in terms of knowledge and experience and state of the planet and all those things. And we've done something with that piece of information, and we have taken the baton, accepted it, and moved on, and then over time we'll pass the baton on to our children. And it really struck me during the Olympics when I was watching the relay races that all of life is in fact like this, and business is like this. I also refer in the written version of this vlog that religions and kingdoms are like this. There's a wonderful movie, The King's Speech. Colin Firth plays Prince Edward, who eventually becomes King George VI of Britain, and he, in a conversation with his father, King George V of Britain, he refers to the family, and King George V, bit of a scorpy character, says this isn't a family, it's a firm, and the firm must survive. And I also am reminded of Pope Francis. Pope Francis is the 266th pontiff since St. Peter roamed the streets with Jesus back in the day. And all of that is an effective passing of the baton from one leader to the next, to the next, to the next. And each successive leader needs to accept his or her responsibility and do something with that and then pass it on to somebody else. And your business and my business are exactly the same. And we've got to ask ourselves, in my opinion, well, how are we performing as we've accepted the baton, and what are we going to do when we pass the baton on to others, and how are we going to make that happen? You might say, well, I started my business and therefore I'm not accepting the baton from anybody, but I think in fact that's perhaps not true. I think we all basically accept the baton, the responsibility for the role that we play on this planet, because we come up with ideas, and those ideas are usually the coming together of several ideas that we happen to see in a unique way because we're unique individuals. Every business starts small. My business started small, your business started small, Google started small, Starbucks started small, Apple started small, Microsoft started small. So every business starts small and then has the opportunity to grow. And how does it grow? And in my opinion, it grows because the originators are willing to pass the baton to others. They're willing to find somebody who's in fact better than they are, perhaps, dare I say it, at making sales, or better than they are at admin, or better than they are at accounts, or better than they are at HR, or better than they are at operations. And it's those businesses and those entrepreneurs who are good at attracting talent, talented people who are better than they are at various aspects of what it requires to run a business. It's those businesses that drive on and grow faster than others. And the challenge, of course, is picking the right people to pass the baton to. That can be difficult. It's oftentimes more attractive to consider hanging on to the baton yourself, because at least you know it'll get done. But if you do that, my view is that you in fact end up stalling the growth of the business, because there's only 24 hours in the day. That if it's you doing everything, well then there's no leverage associated with that. I spoke about leverage in a previous vlog. And so I believe that you and I, as entrepreneurs and business owners and business managers, we need to get better and better and better at attracting talented individuals who want to take part in our race, who believe in what we're doing, and who want to take one piece of it and drive on. And my take on it is we should find those people and then pass the baton to them in some shape or form. It might be HR, it might be admin, it might be answering the phones, it might be driving vans, it might be production, it might be making sandwiches in the case of Carambola. Find people who want to do that, who are better than it than you and I are, and then let them off and pass the baton. And the worst thing we can do is pass the baton and then hold on to it. That's the absolute worst thing that we can do, because then we stall even their progress. Of course, at times we'll pass the baton and we'll fumble it, we'll drop it, because we won't hand it over properly. At other times we'll hand it over properly, but the individual concerned won't do what's right with it, and of course that can cause its own challenges, but they're the challenges that we as business owners and as entrepreneurs need to learn to handle. So the real question is, what are you going to do in terms of you passing the baton to others in your organisation? And fundamentally, and I'll finish with this, fundamentally, if you and I are not good at this stage at handing over elements of our business, passing the various smaller batons to people and then letting them off in a controlled environment to excel in their own field, if we're not good at that at this moment in time, well then what are we going to do to change that? Because at some point in the future, you and I will want to pass the overall baton of the business on to somebody else, whether that's we choose to sell our business or whether it's we choose to pass it to the next generation or we choose to effect a management buyout or whatever. But the question really becomes, if we're not willing to learn the skills of how to let go the smaller batons, well then how do we expect to get to the point where it's time for us to effectively pass the baton to somebody else and exit stage left to enjoy the race from the vantage point of the VIP section in the terraces? I think that's worth considering. And as I said earlier, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope and trust that you got something from this particular Coffee with Colm. If you've enjoyed what you heard and you'd like to hear more, pop to our homepage, colmobrienmotivation.com. Leave us your name and details there, and we'll make sure you get something like this on a regular basis. If you think somebody else would benefit, I'd be delighted if you'd pass the link on to somebody of like mind, see what they think. And then what I'd ask you to do is consider what's been shared here today and apply it into your thinking for the next week or so. And then most importantly, please come back next week and let's have another coffee together. I'll share something else of note, something else that's made a difference in my journey, and hope that it will add value to yours. Cheers. And always remember to get some great coffee. Have a great week. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.